Hi guys, this is Drew Skirbo. Um, I'm a member of White Shark Cafe. I'm also an admin on several other shark sites. Um, just for some background, I am a marine biologist. My specialties are in physiology and biomechanics. Not that that makes any difference, but I just want to give you guys a quick background on that and why I'm going to discuss what I'm going to discuss today. Today, about an hour and a half ago maybe, a video was posted um, that you can see here on this side of the page. It's in the Newcastle Herald and says in Lake Macquarie or Macquarie, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but there was a shark supposedly filmed, a white shark supposedly filmed, breaching in this lake. Now, Lake Macquarie, that's what I'm going to call it. I apologize again if I'm getting it wrong. Lake Macquarie is a saltwater lake. Now, to give you some reference to this, here's a map of Australia. This is New South Wales, and as you can see, I've got this marked here. So if we zoom in on Lake Macquarie, again, I apologize if I'm getting that wrong. We have Lake Macquarie is a significantly long lake. Some people call it an estuarine system. I am not sure. I am basically saying that it does have a waterway leading directly to the Tasman Sea, which is part of something that I would consider part of the Pacific Ocean. Especially if you come out here and take a look. Again, I'm zooming out. Here's the Tasman Sea, and here's the Pacific Ocean. So, if I'm getting any of this wrong, I apologize. Just letting you know what this is. So, there have been reports in the past of white sharks being in this lake. There have been small sharks, white sharks, there have been large white sharks, and I've even read reports where large white sharks have actually come into this saltwater lake and had difficulty getting out because the area here is affected by the tides, and on certain tide schedules, this area may not be sufficiently deep enough for sharks to actually make their way back out. This is not unusual, and I've actually heard multiple reports over the years. I can actually think of 3 confirmed sightings of white sharks in this lake. So, what is my issue with this video or this article? Well, I've uploaded the video to as another YouTube video. I apologize, I was not able to rip the sound with it, but you can actually take a look at it. And the video is kind of sketchy. There's only 3 frames of it that actually supposedly show the shark, and they show it in detail at the end. And a screen grab is exactly what's over here. As a matter of fact, I pulled this picture directly from this page. So what is my issue with this? Well, my area of study leads me to believe that this shark is very, very unusual. Now I'm going to open this up so that we can concentrate on just this image. If you look at the shark itself, from a physiological standpoint, there are a lot of issues with this shark and the picture of this shark. So I'll talk about these really quick. Well, it's not going to be quick, but I apologize. I'm going to talk about it and tell you what I see that's wrong. So I'm going to pick a brush here. Let's pick red as a color just because it shows up pretty well. And we're going to make the size real big just so you guys can see it. So, number one thing that sticks out in my mind is the left pectoral fin is right here, and the right pectoral fin is right there. Now, if you look at these fairly closely, this one is easily twice as wide as that one. Not really a big deal in itself, because this could also be a strange angle that you're not seeing the fin, on its long surface like this. But if you look at these, there's significant size differential between these two. That's problem number one. I really have rarely ever seen something like this. I mean, unless we're seeing the Finding Nemo or the Nemo from Finding Nemo of white sharks, then there's no way to really explain this except for possible optical illusion. So that's issue number one. Take that for what it's worth. It's up to you to decide whether or not that's significant. Issue number two is this shark is at this axis of an angle. Okay, so if we're to draw a line from the insertion point from the leading edge or the anterior edge of this fin, the other pectoral fin should be approximately in that area. It's not. It's significantly further back. Matter of fact, it's about that far back. Again, this is another anomaly that doesn't seem to make sense. So I thought, maybe this is just an optical illusion. But if you take a look here, you see this. You see the shadow of the water here. So this isn't an optical illusion caused by sunlight. This is an optical illusion, possibly at the angle of the fin, but it doesn't explain why these fin insertion points. Sorry, let me go back here. Why these fin insertion points don't line up. This is significantly diagonal from where it should be. So that's point number two. So we have the size. We have the size of the fins. We have two, the insertion. I'm just going to write insert. Sorry, I'm a little out of touch with how to write on this, so please forgive me. So what is number three? Well, number three is, now I'm going to get rid of all this, which is kind of funny, because I'm wasting time. Sorry about that. We see almost a full-on belly shot of the shark. And that's kind of, that helps us to determine the angle of the shark. So from this side, you shouldn't really see what I would consider over half of the dorsal fin exposed. That would be unusual, unless it's got an extremely tall dorsal fin. I don't think you should really see this much of this. Again, it's a complete possibility. Maybe the fin is flopped over. Maybe it's just the propulsion of the shark through the water that's causing this. I don't know. It doesn't damn the video at all. I'm just saying that it is a peculiarity. I really don't think you should really see this much of the dorsal fin. There's also the issue of if this is only half the fin, you got to assume that it's basically going to connect about here. Now, if you look at white sharks, the trailing edge of this fin is usually very close to the insertion of the dorsal fin, okay? And even if we give it some credit and say that it's here, there's a significant gap there. You will see this in some sharks, but white sharks don't generally tend to have that much area in between a pectoral fin and a dorsal fin. Now again, this could be just because of the angle of the shot and how it just happens to work out. Now there's a lot of things that do work in this photograph. The water here, that's appropriate for this part of the shark heading out of the water at this sort of angle, so I have no problem with that. The shadows do tend to match up, because if we change this over here, we would probably have a sun over here shining down, the beams of sunlight. So shadows here kind of match, kind of work over. Yeah, there's a bright spot there that's kind of anomalous, but that's not something that we're really going to throw against them. Then there's the whole idea of motivation. Why would somebody fake this kind of shot? Are these two gentlemen that are down here looking for fame? They don't seem to type. They just seem to be fishermen that seem to use the thing. I don't know. I don't know them, and I don't know if this is fake, why they would fake it. It's very possible that it's real. Again, I can't get over certain points here. And one of the reasons I can't get over the certain points here is because of a basic theory called Occam's razor. Okay? Occam's razor, some people misinterpret it by saying that it's the simplest explanation tends to be the right one. That's not really true. What it really stands for is the fact that the hypothesis with the fewest assumptions does tend to be more accurate or more correct. So, what assumptions are we looking at here? Well, our assumptions that we're looking at here is this shark has birth defects of the pectoral fins, meaning that this one's further back. It's also half the size of the left fin. Possibility of a dorsal area here being strange. And then there's something that I've been reluctant to mention, but I'm going to mention it anyway, is that this is a breach of a white shark in a lake. Now, as far as I understand, even though it's a saltwater lake, as far as I'm to understand, there really has never been documented a white shark breaching in this type of habitat before. Is it even deep enough? What prey is it getting that it basically needs to breach out of water in order to do this? Again, these are more and more assumptions. So what's the alternative hypothesis? The alternative hypothesis is that this image has been altered or faked. Is that true? I can't say. I'm not willing to damn the people who produced this. I'm not willing to come out and say publicly that they did in fact falsify this. I'm just saying that it's worth taking a look at and speculating on, because the image that we're looking at just has a lot of flaws in it that don't really seem to make a lot of sense. So take all this for what it's worth. You know, you can argue it, you can not argue it. Again, this is just the kind of thing that when I see it, sort of burrows into my brain and it won't allow my brain to rest. And unfortunately, that's just the way I work. I assume that'll probably some of you are like that as well. But I'm going to basically end this video here. Feel free to comment on this video. Please feel free to share this video. I'm not looking for people to subscribe. That's not why I do these things. I'm basically using this because I believe in critical thinking, and critical thinking to me says that there's something very odd about this picture, and it doesn't really seem to stand up to scrutiny. Am I wrong? I am perfectly happy to say that I'm wrong if I'm wrong. If somebody can show me that I'm wrong about my assumptions about this photograph, then I will absolutely come out and say it. I do not have that kind of an ego where I cannot admit I'm wrong. I'm very happy to prove that or admit when I'm wrong, because usually that leads me to better understanding in the future. So again, I'm Drew Skirbo. You know, take a look at this video. If you like it, like it. If you don't like it, don't like it. I'm not going to say that I don't care, but again, you've gotten this far. So I'm going to end here. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you guys listening. Have a great one.